Hey everyone, we are here with some words which are having same pronunciation, same enunciation, but have different meanings. The first word in the list is defy and defy. The DEFY means violate, किसी चीज़ का उल्लंघन करना. The DEIFY means to worship. DEIFI, defy or defy means to worship, and DEFI, defy means to violate. The next is doze. Doze means sleep or a power nap, a very short sleep. The next is DOSE, dose, which means a medicine, like you are having a small dose of medicine. The next is eligible, ELIGIBLE, which means you are able to do that work. You are yoga of doing that work. You are eligible of passing the exam. The next is eligible, ILLEGIBLE, which means something which cannot be read. It may be obscure, it may be blur, it may be printed wrongly, and maybe some other reasons, but you cannot read it. That is eligible. The next is exceedingly, which means to great extent, and next is excessively, which also means a great extent, but exceedingly is showing it in a positive way, like he is exceedingly rich. Being rich is not a bad thing, it's not a negative thing, so it is positive. Excessively, he is prodigious excessively means वो बहुत ज़्यादा खर्चीला है. अब being prodigious is not a positive thing. The next we have is exhausting, which means tiring, and the next is exhausted, which means tired. Both are having different forms of verb, but both the meaning are same. Next we have is economical. Economical are having several words which is having same meaning, like frugal, prudent, miser, penny pinching, stingy. Economical is someone who expends very less, who really wastes money very less, who uses money wisely. And economic means related or pertaining to the economy. Pertaining meaning related to. For example, my friend Ramesh is a very economical person because he spends money wisely. And the example of economic is economic crisis are one of the major things which affect the economy of persons of the nation. Next we have elude, ELUDE, which means to escape. To show clean pair of heels, which means to escape. To elude, ELUDE. And AWLUDE means a kind of reference, a kind of side example, or to quote. For example, they elude my example to give her son a right guidance. Here I have used the AWLUDE word elude. That is, they elude me to give her son the right guidance. And for the elude, the thief elude from the jail, and the police was not able to catch them. ELUDE. Here the next word is excite. Excite instead of feeling. Excite means joy, anger, all the feeling you have of excitement. Like the crowd become excited after seeing Salman Khan. Then we have incite, which means to provoke, encourage, yeah, pursued. Like uh, the speech was very insightful that they make the crowd angry. And the next thing is insight, INSAGST, which means the ability to see the truth. We also use word like insightful. Example of insight, INSIGST, is being insightful doesn't mean you are right. The next word we have is envelope. Here, both the words are envelope, ENVELOP, and other is ENVOLOPE. The word in which we don't have E means to cover, to wrap, ढाक लेना किसी चीज़ को. Like the clouds have enveloped the city, and there is no light in the city. The cloud जो हैं उन्होंने पूरी city को ढक लिया है और वहाँ अंधेरा है. ENVOLEPE means the letter cover, normal envelope. Like I have get the envelope, but it is not having any envelope in this. It is not having any letter in this. The next is expeditious, which means prompt, quick. Expeditious, like she is my best friend. She do all my work expeditiously, which means she do all my work very quickly. The next is the next we have is expedient, which means practical. A wise man always believes in expedient approach, which means a wise man always believes in a practical approach. The next we have is expedition, which means khoj yatra, like expedition to the center of the earth. Expedition, which is a scientific thing in which we go to find something. Like Vasco da Gama was the one who have gone for the expedition of the other continents of India. The next we have is esteem, ESTEEM. Here the esteem means respect. We all are having a esteem image of our country in our mind. We all should have. The next is ESTIMATE, estimate, which means to calculate. Can we cal can we estimate the fear which our children are having while they were sitting in the exam? The next we have estimations, which means opinion, judgment. What are your estimations about the exams fear? The next we have is exposure, which means to reveal. Like a person should not get clear exposure of anything while sitting at home. The next is exposition. EXPOSITION, exposition, which means explanation. Can you please give me a brief exposition of this topic? Because I'm naive in this topic. The next we have is emerge, to come out. India has emerged as the biggest economy of the world. The next is IMMERAC, immerse, which means plug out or to absorb in या फिर खोया होना. Like the example is her mother says that she always immerse in the books, यानी कि वो हमेशा बुक में खोई रहती है, ऐसे उसकी माता जी कहती हैं. The next we have is eruption, which means burst, like volcanic eruption. The next is IRRUPTION, eruption means attack. The Indian soldiers had done eruption on the unexpected surprise which was coming in the midnight through the valley. The next is element. Element means something natural, something element, something related to natural, like mercury, like helium, like hydrogen. These all are the elements. The next we have is elementary, which means beginning, introductory, like the elementary school, which means the kid school. Next word we have is fatal, FATAL, which means causing death. I barely survived that fatal accident. Next is fateful, which means important, which means considerable. These questions are very fateful. If you don't study these questions, you may get fail an exam. Next we have is fatalist, which means believer in the fate, in the luck. We Indians are not only those who are fatalist, but the entire world is one. Next we have is forceful. Forceful means strong, means powerful. Here we are not talking forcefully, we are talking forceful. Like my friend Soumya is a forceful person because he is having a very huge body and his voice is very dominating. The next is forcible, which means by force, by compulsion, by mandating something. Like these, the responsibilities you are having, you think is forcible, but these are not. These you choose by your own, and you have to pay neither by luck but by choice. The next is finge. Finge means pertinent, means drama, like She's just having a normal cut in her hand and she flinched all the way. इसका मतलब उसके हाथ में एक छोटा सा कटी लगा था और वो बहुत ड्रामा कर रही थी. The next is feign. Feign means happy, means gladly. Like when I hold his hand, he become feign. मैं जब उसका हाथ पकड़ा था वो खुश हो गया. The next we have is forgo. Forgo means to give up, to leave, to abandon, to forsake. Like the example is when I realized that he's not having interest in studies, his parents forgo him and didn't tell him to study again. The next is forego, forego, which means go before, go ahead. We are reading in the forego. We are reading the forego paragraph, which you have kept your hand. We are मतलब कि किसी चीज़ के पहले अगर तुम कहीं हो तो उस चीज़ के पहले का मतलब होता है फॉरिगो. Next we have as facility, convenience, which we can say comfort, dexterity. These all things are facility. Like all the facility which we get at home will be absent when we move out. The next we have is felicity. Felicity is apt expression. Apt का मतलब joy होता है, खुशी होता है. And joy, felicity. She was having a feeling of felicity on her birthday. The next we have is facilitate, which means किसी को प्रदान करना, किसी को सुविधा प्रदान करना, make easy, to provide something to someone. Like the government facilitate the government colleges, but the students have to study for that to get them. The next we have is felicitate. Felicitate, Felicitate, a very important word, to congratulate. I felicitate him for his rank in the JEE mains exam. Next is FAIR, fair, which means carnival, मेला या फिर a color or a show. We have been to the fair and he bought some toys from there. The next we have is fare, FARE, which means meal or we can say passage money, जिसको हम किराया बोलते हैं या फिर rent. My mother transferred me the fare of this month and I have already given the advance to you, so I don't think there is anything of chaos between us. यानी कि मेरी अम्मी ने मुझे पैसे ट्रांसफ़र कर दिए थे और मैंने आपको एडवांस भी दे रखा है, तो हमें लगता नहीं है कि यहाँ पे हमें लड़ना चाहिए. The next is formality, like show ceremony. One of my friend always do formality and I don't like formalities. Formality is a very common word, but formalism is not. Formalism means observance of rights. Here rights is not danga, but here rights is coming. Formalism. Like example, formalism is one such habit or thing which we all should have, but it should not overrun our minds. Next we have is fiscal. Fiscal means public revenue, the money of public which we get from public. Like अभी budget launch हुआ है, you have heard about the fiscal deposits maybe. All the scriptures which we can see around us, all the roads are made from the fiscal, from the public revenue. The next we have is financial, which means mandatory. Talking to her is not financial for you, but you do it all day. उससे बात करना तुम्हारे लिए सब कंपलसरी नहीं है, मैंडेटरी नहीं है. Oh sorry, I just mislead this. Here financial, which means monetary, which is the money of different people. Like this thing is not very financial, which means ये इतनी ज़्यादा पैसे के इफ़ेक्टिव नहीं है. The next is gentle, 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 sorry, spelling mistake, Gentle, which means not harsh, soft, soothing, comfortable. We should always have gentle behavior towards other. You should always behave in a gentle way to your elders. The next is genteel. Gentle is the well manner which we can see in the rich people. Okay, so for example, Hrithik Roshan is having very genteel behavior in all the press conferences that we can see. Next we have is gamble. GAMBLE, यानी कि सट्टा लगाना, जुआ खेलना. Gambling is one of the most ridiculous thing which I have ever heard someone doing. The next we have is gambol, which means to frisk, तेज दौड़ना, हल्ला मचाना, कूदा फांदी करना. Example: me and my friends were gambling in the town when we were out for a night out. The next we have is graceful and at the same time gracious, GRACIOUS. And GRACAFUL. Graceful means beautiful, means elegant. Her appearance was very graceful. Her appearance was very graceful, and my mind is very gracious towards her appearance. Gracious, GRACIOUS. You should remember this word. This is one of the most important one. The next we have is GAT, which means door, gate. Open the gate or open the door mean the same. The next we have is GAIT, which means manner of walking. People always say that I gait in a different way. I don't I don't gait normally. Here I have used the word GAIT, which means चलने का लहजा. The next we have is gravity. Not the gravity of science, but the attraction. We always have gravity towards other gender. This is the philosophy of life. The next we have is the word gravitation means attraction actually. We always have gravitation towards other gender. The next we have is gravity, which means quality of being serious. I have a lot of gravity, not because I have not done fun like you, but I have seen a lot in my life. The next we have is hoard, 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 which means amass, to store. Like squirrels hoard their food in the holes of tree. The next we have is HORD, hoard, a gang. The horde of records came at night in the city and had make a very hustle bustle in the city. The next we have is historic. Historic, we all know this word, like something which is very related to the historic things, like famous, like Taj Mahal is one of the most historic place of India. Next we have is hollow. Hollow means, as we all know, HOLLOW, hollow, which is khokla from inside, which is having hole inside. The wall is hollow, due to which the wall is not strong. The next we have is HALLOW, hello, or we can say hallowed, ed. Hallowed means pious. Pious means sacred, means pavitra, means religious. Like all the temples are very hello, but some are not. The next we have is HALO, hello. Hello means circle of light around the head. It is something which the Buddhist people are having around their head, or any circle of light which you are having around your head by chance, by mistake, at any stage, at any place. So this is known as halo, a circle of light around your head. The next we have is industrial, which means pertaining of industry, related to industry. Like industrial revolution was one of the major thing which was happened in the 19th century, because it has just transformed the world into the modern one. The next we have is industrious. Industrious is a different word. It is having a different approach, and this is the last word of today. Industrious meaning hard working, indefatigable, or untiring. Industrious behavior always lead to success. So this is all for today, and meet you next time. Bye.